I guess just to dive in here, one of the things that I noticed after the election, and one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about is, over the past number of years, there's been this really successful effort by the Democratic Party to win suburban, affluent enclaves in what would normally be considered write-off red states like Kansas. And, I think there's no better, district than the third, or Johnson County is probably most indicative of that out of anywhere in the country. Just in 2003, when Thomas Frank was writing about it, it was like a Republican stronghold. And now it's, flipped both for the presidential elections and for Congress the past two terms. So I'm wondering, do you think that that's indicative of progress for progressives, or do you think it's a embrace of what I'll call PMC politics above working class politics?
Well, this is a great question. I'm glad to have the opportunity to talk about it because it's something I've put a lot of thought into. And you're absolutely right. I mean, look at Johnson County. I think maybe Trump even won it last time by a point. And now Biden won it by 8 points, right? And the congressional district was Republican for several terms, and now there's a Democrat. Here's the thing. I think that there is obviously ups to this, to what the Dems have done as far as building votes in wealthier kind of suburban areas. However, there is a tremendous drawback to that strategy that I've seen, and what that is I'm afraid that the Democratic Party has tried to make gains in suburban areas, but has all but ignored entirely exurban areas and rural areas. Okay. I actually grew up in a small town myself, a small town of 7,000 people, a few hours north of here in Iowa. And, that is the people in, economically depressed areas, people in rural areas, even people in urban areas that aren't doing economically nearly as well as folks in the suburbs are. That used to be the core and the base of the Democratic Party. The whole point of the Democratic Party was that we were the party of the people, the party of workers. And now it seems to me that has been sufficiently flipped entirely on its head. Which is not only terrible policy, right? Obviously, because we're turning our backs on the very people that I think need protection the most. But I think electorally, it was an enormous mistake, and I'll tell you why. So has this strategy been effective at winning back the House of Representatives by essentially cherry picking districts like the Kansas 3rd to be able to win that back from Republicans? Obviously it has, right? It's because we won back the House. However, the districts that rely on exurban and rural voters and urban voters are a lot of congressional districts, but also statewide elections, okay? And who's running statewide? We have senators, we have governors, other statewide elected office holders, and the presidency of the United States is essentially 50 statewide elections. And what we've seen, unfortunately, is weakening of, the inability to win back the Senate, a terrible situation where we're up against a complete clown president who led us into a pandemic, an economic recession, civil unrest in the streets, and our presidential candidate was only able to beat him by the slimmest of margins, right? I think all of that is directly reflective of this failed strategy by the leaders, the national leaders of the Democratic Party to, try to make gains in the suburbs, which is great, but by doing that, by ignoring, economic populism, economic progressivism that really can win statewide and can win the rural and exurban areas.